Welcome to Savor the Story podcast, where books and snacks are life. This is Nicole.
And I'm Vanessa.
And hi, welcome to our podcast.
Hello.
And I have to tell you, Vanessa.
Yeah.
I don't know if you could tell, but I am a hot pile of garbage today.
Well, I mean, that's not true, but you may feel like one.
Yes. I mean, I'll get into it more when I talk about my week, but
yes,
I got the sick. So
yeah, you kind of got knocked out, and we're going to fight. We're going to find out who did it, and we're going to fight them.
Yes. I want to know which plague rat did this to me.
Exactly. We will find them.
I've had like a couple people reach out and be like, so what are your symptoms? And I'll tell them, and they're like, oh, so it wasn't me. And I'm like,
okay. It still could have been. It could have been given to me in a different way.
Right. Like, so anyway.
Okay.
Well, how was your week?
It was pretty good. Can I start off by telling you news that isn't my news?
I would love that.
Okay, great. Tim ran his 100-mile race this weekend and got home. And he did fantastic. We're so proud of him. Yes,
Yay.
he beat his PR by 2 hours, which is wild. Yeah, so he ran it in 26 hours and 47 minutes. So everyone, even if you don't know him, just yay, cheer for him.
Yay, Tim.
And I will tell you, in that as well, it was like 1 in the morning or midnight or something like that. He downloaded our new episode while he was out in the middle of the woods running around, or I guess it was the desert. And while he was climbing his last climb on mile like 70 something, he was listening to us.
Nice.
Yes. So thanks, Tim.
Yay. Number 1 listener this week.
That's right. Yes, if we are to give out awards every week, he gets it.
Yes, exactly.
This time. Yeah.
So can I ask a question? And
yes.
Maybe if Tim hears this, he can answer it too.
Yeah.
Did he run 2 hours faster because his coach was there? And he was trying to like show off? Or are you just not being mean enough to him when you're there as his coach?
That's right. No, he I think this course is just, there was a little less, maybe not less elevation, but there was a lot more flat than some of his other races that he's had. So there's more opportunity to like run faster or more or whatever. So right. I think that's what happened. But funny story about his coach being there. So they're part of the race, they do a foot race, whatever, for the 100, but they also do a BMX version of it, and it starts like right before the race does, so they can bike it. So because his coach is currently nursing an injury, he can't run, but he decided to bike it. Literally just started biking the day before the race. So he was just like, yeah, I could do this. He ended up coming in last place.
Oh no.
And like I think he ended up being like 2 hours later than the guy in front of him or something like that.
No.
But he still, I guess he had like a great time. He was like having fun out there. He did say it was hard, but then the coach got to be there at the end for Tim's race. So that was good.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he's probably not going to start biking instead of running.
Oh, let's not get into that. We're not going to talk about how Tim picks up hobbies because we're not going to put it into the universe. All right.
Okay. My bad.
Okay. Thank you.
We'll edit that part out.
Okay, great. But yeah, I don't, a lot of my other news kind of has to do with stuff that stopped me from reading this week, which we can get into. But before we do that, do you want to tell me anything about your own week?
Yeah, sure. I can know. I mean, okay. I don't know. Did you feel like the week was really long? I felt my week was eternal, but I didn't do anything.
Okay.
So I was thinking about this when I was writing stuff down. I was like, man, was it this week? Because I got a massage, and but I got it on like Monday because I was like really nervous about like doing like a long run and then being super sore. So I was like, I'll just get a massage. And now that I'm talking about it, I'm like, was that last week? And I even had to go back and look at my calendar.
So I have a new theory. I think your massage got you sick. You released all the toxins in your body and all of that.
Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Oh, that would be 5 days.
So it's a possibility that you did this to yourself.
Fudge. Man.
All right, sorry.
That checks out. Dang it. Mm-hmm. I don't know if I've ever gotten sick from that before.
Really? I have a few times.
Holding in all those toxins. Mm-hmm. Dang it.
I've gotten sick a few times, like especially if I go a really long time between massages. I typically get sick after a massage.
Dang it. Mm-hmm. I didn't even know that was a thing.
Yeah.
Once you said it, I was like,
that's a possibility. Yeah. Okay, anyway, sorry. So massage.
Massage ruined my life.
That's right.
And then, but other than that, we just kind of like a normal week, went to work, ate. I think I don't remember what day it was now, but one of the days Mike was like, hey, do you want to go to the cabin? And I was like, no. And he was like, yeah, let's go. I was like, well, why are we going? And he was like, just, relax, hang out. And he was like, and I want to do some setup for hunting season. And I was like, okay, whatever. So we went up and we did, like normal things, just like, puppy walks, quad rides. It was clear the first couple of days, so we got to do some really good, like, stargazing. Like, you can see full Milky Way up there because there's no light pollution.
Yeah.
So I saw a couple shooting stars. That was pretty cool. Yes. And then Saturday morning, I woke up and I was like, what's going on? And then it just it progressed from there until like, I think Monday, I was like, I'm going to get up and work. And I couldn't even get up and like log into my computer. I was just so like tired and gross. So yeah, it was started as it started as a good week, but now I'm starting to think, now that I know I did this.
Right. Goodness. I got a facial last week, so it's like we both did some self-care things. Yes. And it was fabulous. Ugh. She was like all into it and it was great.
Did she do the one that like dries out and
no
turns to your face? Like
she did not this time. Because I just told her, I was like, I just really want to just like relax and like I'm hormonal and just, I don't want all the things. And she was like, I got you. And she gave me like the best sculpting massage ever.
Wow.
Yeah. And she ended and she goes, she was like, oh, that was great. I was like, you're right. It was. She was like, I just closed my eyes and like felt what you needed. And I was like, that was fabulous. Thank you. Please do that every time.
So those are the magic words to say to her. Got it.
Yep.
Because every time I go in, she's like, your face looks like garbage. Here's some stuff. And my face tightens up really. I'm like, no. So itchy. She never says that. Never says my face
she
looks
does
like
not.
garbage. She's always like, you're beautiful. I love you. Let me touch your face.
Yeah.
She never tells me I look like garbage.
I would never expect her to say that.
Yeah, you knew I was lying as soon as I said that.
100%.
Anybody who knows her is like, you're lying, Nicole.
Yeah, she would never. But yeah, so I'm going to tell you some things that got in the way of me reading this week.
Okay.
One, the new Marvel show Agatha All Along came out, so I had to watch those 2 episodes, obviously. And then I heard about a new podcast, and so I had to binge it, obviously. So it took any time away from me listening to another book or reading. The podcast was great. It was like 8 episodes or something like that. And it was called Noble. If anybody's into like true crime stuff, it's called Noble, and it's intense and it's great.
Oh, thanks.
I'll give you like a little snippet, but it's about this town, Noble, Georgia, I think. And this guy who ran a crematorium was not crematoriuming all the people that he got. So he had like bodies and bodies stacked in places around the property. And it ended up being found out, and there was like all this trial and stuff. And ultimately the discussion of like, what is it actually to, like, I don't know how to explain it, but basically like, what are the thoughts that we have about how we treat dead bodies? Is it like legit? Like, do we actually care, or is it like, okay, they're dead, right? So some of that like conversation, and because technically it's not a crime because he didn't kill them, right? And he didn't, there was no other expectation, really. I don't know, it was very interesting, the whole story. He did end up getting prison time, but yeah, it was very interesting.
Yeah, like the only thing I could really think of was like, is that like theft of services, like a 500 misdemeanors or something? Like...
Yeah, I can't remember exactly what he ends up being charged with, but it's not like it's nothing to do actually with like mistreatment of a dead body or anything. It's like something different, like almost business related, because these people are promised that like the cremains that you're getting are supposed to be these people, and he's just handing them other things because he's just throwing the bodies in the back. So yeah, it was very, very interesting, but that sucked me in and it kept me from reading, so I blame a lot of things.
So is that, you said that's a podcast, right?
That's a podcast.
And it's only 8 episodes?
It's like 8 episodes, but I think each episode was like an hour or so.
Is there going to be more episodes?
No, it got all the way through to the end of like him getting out of prison and all that kind of stuff. So it was like the whole story. Yeah, it was everything. And then also like the episode will be out already, but us having to read Twilight also got in my way this week. So lots of reasons why I didn't read as much as I wanted to, but that's okay. But I did make a snack this week. I actually baked something, and it was mildly good.
Oh, okay. Well, that's better than not good at all.
That's
like
right.
Last time.
And I think I know how to fix it, so it's okay. I made protein banana bread.
Oh yeah.
And it was really good. It was really soft on top, almost like a little gooey. And so I was reading that you might just have to bake it for longer, or use a little less banana, or you could it said add more flour, but I didn't use flour. I used oats because it was protein banana bread. So maybe I could just add more oats next time. So I think I'm going to try a little experiment with a couple of those things and try again.
See which one makes you the perfect batch.
Yes. But I am going to use that as my rating this week because I actually made it. So I want to use something I actually made.
And that is legit.
Thank you.
I did not make anything this week.
Okay.
What did I do this week? I tried to be diabolical, and I bought pumpkin spice wafer cookies. You know, those like rectangle, I almost said triangle, those rectangle wafer cookies. They had pumpkin spice ones.
Okay.
And I saw them and I was like, man, I'm going to buy these for Mike.
Yes.
Sneaky. And then I ate one and then I ate them all. I'm pretty sure Mike only had one, and he was like, yeah, these are okay. I liked them so much that when we left for the cabin, I saw the bag on the shelf, and I was like, that needs to come with us in the truck. And I ate the rest of them like on the drive up. And then what else? What other snacks did we have? Well, I mean, it's not a fan. Well, so those strudels, I'm like those strudels. Come on,
yeah,
at
okay.
the store, they're like the big, like rectangle ones, and they have like the cheese in the middle. Yeah,
yep.
They're in like the bakery section, so we always buy one when we go up to the cabin.
Okay,
literally every single time.
Okay,
so I had some of those too.
Nice.
It was delicious, but I think I'm gonna rate in pumpkin spice wafer cookies.
Okay, I think that's a good choice. It's always surprising to me, like when either Mike or Tim don't really like something that's pumpkin spice flavored. For some reason, I just always expect it to be like pumpkin spice. I love it. But Tim did the same thing. I don't remember what it is, but I bought him something recently too, and he was just like, "Oh, this was okay." I'm like, "Bro, what happened to you? Right. Are you okay?"
If I would have told you I bought it for me and not for you,
oh, you would.
A completely different story.
For sure. Of course it would be. All right. Are you ready to talk about books?
No.
Okay. You have more?
No, we could talk about books. I have a book thought. I can't remember what episode it was. I should have wrote it down. In one of the episodes, one of our listeners, aka your mom, suggested that I read a book, and it was called Ride the Wind.
Yes.
So I found it. I bought it wildly used, and this is my book thought here.
Okay.
So I think I've been pretty clear with all of our listeners that I really enjoy history books. They're one of my favorite genres. But something else is I also enjoy the history of a book, and not so much like the publishing history or the author or anything, but like the people who have owned the book before me.
Oh. I was going to say this is like a little Inception, like a book history within a history.
Right, yeah. So whenever I buy a used book, I always like it when I find something in the book that hints at a previous owner. So like, you know, there might be like a bookmark in there, or there might be like something, you know, written in the margins.
Yeah.
Or like in this copy that I picked up,
there
is the receipt. From Walden Books, and I know I sent you this picture.
Yeah.
But so this book was published. I have to find the page really quick. Okay, so this book was published. This is the 17th printing in October of 1993. And the receipt is from Walden Books of November of 94.
That's awesome.
So this book's really old, and they got it for, what did they get it for? For like $5.99.
Right.
I did not pay. I paid probably about the same amount for this book as a used book.
Right.
Wildly used book. So.
That's so funny.
Yep. So if you're out there, Walden Books preference number 5055264667. I have your book. So.
I'm sure they remember that number.
Right.
That's so funny. That's cool. I think I enjoy that they left the receipt in there for you.
Right, yeah.
Or that they even still have the receipt. Like, why do you still have the receipt from 1994?
I know. Well, and that's the thing. I didn't buy it from a person. I bought it from like, you know, like, I think it was like thrift books or something.
Oh,
like
so
that.
they donated it with the receipt in there.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Oh, and it was in Idaho.
Yes.
So if you were living in Idaho in 94, November of 94, I might have your book.
Yes, I think you do.
So.
All right.
You should email me.
No, okay.
We'll talk about your book.
savorthestorypod.com.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. Now I can talk about books.
Okay.
Wait, you can go first.
Oh, you want me to go first? Okay.
Yes.
So this is our first October episode, other than bonus bites. I decided to read a Goosebumps book. So because Goosebumps is like where I started with reading, and they're like horror-y, whatever, I was like, you know what? I don't have time to read another, like a full second book, but I do have time to read 130 pages.
And I think that's fair because, you know, back in the day, that was probably a really spooky book for you.
It was, yeah.
Yeah.
So
like a kid, I know it was for me.
Right. Yeah. So I read the Say Cheese and Die. It's 136 pages, and it is meant for the ages between 9 and 14. So I mean, I don't want to give too much information on it because I don't think anyone here is really reading Goosebumps books. But if you have kids that are maybe interested in reading some books that are a little more scary or whatever, it's about a camera that when you take pictures of people, it causes them harm or whatever. And so like, yeah, when you take the picture, the picture doesn't look like you now. It looks like you being hurt in the future.
Oh yeah, I remember.
And so yeah. And so it was a little creepy. It was like creepy for a kid, but it was really cute. I liked it. It took me maybe like 2 hours or something, and that was with me doing other things as well, like being distracted. So cute little just addition to my books this week.
Nice.
Yeah. But the main book was, okay, first of all, let me say, last week I read book 1 of the War of the Lost Heart series, and I promised in that episode that I was going to read book 2 and 3 by this episode, and I failed.
Oh.
Miserably. But again, you can blame the Noble podcast. You can blame Agatha all along. You can blame all the things.
You blame life.
Yes, blame life, because book 3 is like 700 something pages. So I was like, there's no way I'm getting it in this week. And then on top of Twilight as well, like it was not happening. So I did read the second one though, and it is called Children of Fallen Gods. And I think I mentioned last episode that in this one, a third point of view was added. So it's it kind of goes between the main female point of view, the main male point of view, and then they added in a third one. And like I said, I was not super excited about it at first, but once it got into it, I was in it. Like, I think it was a good addition. It obviously feeds the story a lot. So, I really liked the third point of view. So like what her role is and who she is, I think is a spoiler, but, the fact that she's Fae is not. So it just kind of gives her story, but it is some of it's a little bit confusing because you don't really know what timeline it is. It's not super clear. And so by the time you get to the end of the book, you understand everything. But I really enjoyed her point of view. Some of it was confusing in the book just because there's a lot of mind magic. So stuff that like a lot of the magic that's happening is happening in their minds. And so sometimes it's confusing to understand if it's happening, like kind of what's going on and where it's going on, but it didn't take away from the enjoyment for me at all. There is one thing that I guessed pretty early on, that I was like kind of proud of myself about. But I don't know if it's like an easy one or not. So I'd be interested to hear what other people say. The last 35 to 40% of the book is all like, I could not stop. So yeah, it was like once, like getting up to the halfway point was like, okay, like I'm enjoying it. It's cool. But once I passed that, like just past that halfway point, I was sucked in and I needed to know what happened right now. So if you are reading this, be prepared to like not want to stop once you get into like all the action.
All plans canceled.
Exactly. And then with I know I talked about Mr. Maxentarius in the last episode. I still love him. He's still great. I wrote down, because everybody is like into the morally gray character and like that's what everybody wants in all their books and stuff. He is not morally gray. He is perfect, and I don't miss the morally gray at all. Like, in this particular one, I am totally fine with him just being a good guy. I enjoy it. Yeah. So, I also really, really enjoyed like the side characters in this book. They were good in the other one, but I feel like they had a little bit more of some shine in this one, and I really enjoyed it. Everyone just kind of is great. So I gave this one 4.5 banana breads because I still really, really liked it. I think I gave 4.5 to the first book too. So
yeah,
it's and this one I would say I don't know if I have a real reason why I took off 0.5%. There's nothing that like sticks out to me why it doesn't deserve a full 5. I don't know if I'm ready to, if the third book holds up and everything, I might just bump them all up to 5.
Oh, that's
so
fair.
We'll see we'll see what happens. But and I know I just realized I didn't give a rating to the Goosebumps book, but I don't know that I know like if I can. Like, I'm not between 9 and 14, so I don't know if I'm like the right person to give it.
Right.
Yeah. So
your rating has emotional attachment to it.
Right. So Goosebumps book is not getting a rating. Just, it was cute. That was it. But 4.5 for Children of Fallen Gods. I can promise that I will have book 3 done in the next episode.
Have you started book 3 yet?
Yes, I'm like 30% in or so. So yeah, I will. It will be done.
Nice.
So those are my books.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Cool. I had 2 books as well.
Okay.
Because I did not start Twilight. No, I did. But I finished these 2 books before I started Twilight.
Okay.
So, but the first one I also picked because I was trying to bring in spooky season.
Yes.
I kind of went the opposite direction you did, and fair warning for those out there who don't like it when we talk about romance books. This is a romance book.
Skip ahead a little, maybe. Or, earmuffs.
Skip. So I read A Werewolf's Guide to Seducing a Vampire by Sarah Hawley, and I did not know when I picked this book out because we were at the bookstore together, and I just saw it on the shelf and I was like, yoink, and I walked away. It's a book 3.
Oh, it is?
Yes, but it's like one of those book 3s where it's like one couple is book 1 and then a couple is book 2 and then another couple is book 3.
All
I
right.
think there might be more books. I didn't do a lot of research. I wasn't that attached to it. I was just like, I need a book to start spooky season.
Yeah.
And I want it to be like an uplifting spooky season.
Uh-huh.
So, and then, but like based on the description, and then knowing that it's a rom-com or whatever, I've read the description. I think I got the first 30 pages in, and I think I sent you a text. I was 100% convinced that this book was going to be just straight up smut. I was like, something's going on here.
And you could tell from the first 30% or whatever you said?
Well, that's what I thought because the book is, in the book there's a werewolf and there's obviously a vampire. Well, you find out that the vampire is also half succubus. And I was like, yep.
Yeah, that'll do it.
This is all going to be sex. I was like, all right, well, I'll set myself in for this. And turns out it was, I would say, a regular amount of sexy time.
Oh, so it wasn't overly...
Right, yeah. It was like one of those books where the scenes get progressively more.
Okay.
Up to like the last one, which is like actual sex. So, but yeah, I mean, the book was okay. I mean, it's about what you expect for that type of like book, It's just,
right.
There's, a vampire. There's a werewolf. The werewolf in his human form, his like he buys this crystal on eBay or something, and it turns out there's like a witch, or not a witch, sorry, a vampire trapped in this crystal, and now she's his slave. So like, that's the premise of the whole book.
All right.
Yeah, so I mean, not really a lot going on there. I mean, I thought the title, reading the book, I thought the title was a little off because it was like, oh, Werewolf's Guide to Seducing a Vampire. There's no seducing. She's down. She's down to clown. Like there was no trying to convince her. She was ready the whole book.
Okay. So is like bringing her in as a slave isn't even like a true term, because she's just like, okay, I'll just be here. You don't have to force me.
Yeah, I mean, no, there's a little bit more to the story than that. So, I mean, she's not happy about being trapped in this crystal, and she's not happy about having like a new like owner or whatever. So, but
fair.
It's an easy, no stress read or whatever. There was one part, how they came up with this, I don't know. And when I first started reading it, I was like, this is dumb. But then because there's a reason for this. I'm not going to tell you the reason. But like there's a part where she agrees, because she has to, she agrees to put on a one person like theater production act. Okay. And so her initial thought process is, well, I can't say no, but you never told me I had to make it good.
Okay, fair.
So like they're describing the scene that she's putting on, and I was laying in bed next to Mike, and I was like like giggling as I was reading this scene, and Mike's like, what is wrong with you? And I was like, I don't know, this part's funny to me for some reason. Maybe I'm just tired.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was cute. I don't think I'm ever going to go back and read the other ones, but, something to bring in spooky season.
Do you know if the other ones are also, like, non-human?
Yes.
Oh, they are? Okay.
One of them is a witch and, like, a demon, and then I don't know the second one. Okay. The only reason I know the first one is because it popped up as a possible read on my on my Kindle the other day. So I clicked it and I was like, wait a second. Yeah. I know this book.
So did you end up like enjoying it, or was it just kind of like, all right?
Yeah. I liked it up into like the point where, I don't know. I liked it up until about halfway through. And then after that, I was just kind of like, all right, I just want to.
You were over it. This book. Okay.
But yeah, it wasn't a bad book. I just wanted to be done. Yeah. I gave it like 3 pumpkin spice wafer cookies. Okay. So my second book is a book that I picked in response to the week 5 discussion question. One of our listeners gave us an ultimatum. That ultimatum was listen to Bomber Mafia or else.
Oh, that's right. We did get that comment.
Yes. So I took that to heart, and I downloaded Bomber Mafia.
It was a direct threat, and you were scared.
And I listened. Okay. So don't ever put me in stressful situations, apparently, because I will buckle. Great. I used my only Audible credit that I had left, and then I was super sad to see that it was only a 5-hour book, and I was like, man.
It just feels wasteful to use a full credit on a 5-hour book.
Yeah, but I looked at, on top of that, I looked at like just buying it straight out, and I think it was about the same as my credit. So I was like, whatever. Okay. So this one, like I said, Bomber Mafia, Malcolm Gladwell. It was an audiobook. I listened to this one, obviously. And then it's a history book. So fun fact. At the end, the ending, whatever that is, he says that this was originally intended to be an audiobook. Really? So he, I'm air quoting, published it first as an audiobook and then went back and they actually made it into a physical book.
I don't think I've ever heard of it being that way. It almost sounds like he should have just had a podcast then.
So yeah, so that's the thing is this guy does have a podcast.
Oh, okay.
I think is it? I don't know if it's through because I think he's also a editor or he contributes to I think maybe the New Yorker or something.
Okay.
And he and this is just I think it was supposed maybe he thought about doing it as a podcast and maybe more he did. He was like, I could do a whole book about this.
Okay.
But it's a very short book. I would say I know in week 5's discussion, we were saying how I was saying personally how I wasn't like a huge fan of the dramatized audiobooks.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
This one's pretty good. I'll give our listener that. It was almost more of like a documentary. It had the same feeling.
Okay.
Like if you were listening from like to a documentary in another room, that's what it was like.
Okay.
He was talking, he was giving like background information, examples, and then whereas people like during the interviews, it was actual interviews, clips of the people he was talking to. So
that's nice.
Yeah, so it was pretty cool. And the author does all the narration for the audiobook as well, so that helped.
Okay.
There was a whole bunch of topics kind of discussed. It was like things like, I'm not going to give them all away, but
yeah.
like the Norden bomb site, the raid on Tokyo. There's a whole bunch of other ones, but I don't want to give away the premise of the book or the purpose of the book.
Yeah.
So, but, it's all meant to be, or at least what I took from it was the topics all there were discussed, inventions that were made to like limit civilian casualties.
Okay.
And then other stories were the opposite end of the spectrum where it was just, there was no regard for like loss of life. It was, and that was the whole purpose of the book is it better, I think, to, spare civilian life as much as possible, or is it better to just all out reign of terror?
Oh, yeah.
So that's kind of what I took from the book. There was, I individually have heard of all of the things that he talked about. So I wouldn't say for me there was a lot of like new information, but I did enjoy the audiobook itself.
So is it maybe like like little pieces of each of those things instead of like deep dive into each one?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. So, I gave this one like, 3.5, 4.
Okay.
I'll give it closer to 4 because I really liked the documentary style audiobook, but like I said, the topics kind of already knew most of them. I wasn't, if you're an avid history reader, there's probably not going to be anything like, oh man, I didn't know that.
Yeah. True.
But I do always enjoy parts of history books that have like eyewitness accounts and stuff. Cause
it's nice that it had like the real interviews in there.
Yeah. I do personally enjoy, like I said, history that I can't read on like Wikipedia.
Right.
So sometimes, so that was nice. Yeah. Like I said,
maybe that's why it was, threatened to us is because it was not a Wikipediable piece of it.
Maybe.
All right. Is that all of our book stuff then?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. Might be a short week.
A shorter episode. Any information that you need to share before we do our discussion post pick? Random thoughts. Okay.
Oh no, I'm good. Do you have random thoughts?
No, I don't actually have this week have any random thoughts. Okay, so let me get my little ASMR. All right. Do you buy books based on their cover?
On their cover?
Mm-hmm.
Oh. Yeah. I would say yes. Initial reaction, yes.
Same season.
You name a person who doesn't.
Yeah, right. And I feel like I've had luck, well, not necessarily luck, but like I've had the outcome in both directions where like it's a beautiful book cover and it's fantastic, and then there's times where it's a beautiful book cover and that's all it has going for it.
Right.
Or like I feel like that's the easier one to do. I feel like it's harder to be enticed by a book that's a pretty crappy cover. Because obviously, like, if it's not super pretty, people aren't being like, hey, like, ooh, that's so pretty, I want this on my shelf or whatever. And it ends up being a great book. So I feel like that's the harder side of it.
Right. Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know. I have a lot of book subscriptions that give like the special copies out, and I know a lot of people who do that for the same reason, because they want the really pretty books.
Yes.
You know.
Yep.
They want
you got to
those,
have
like
the pretty ones.
The shelf trophies.
Yes. Oh, speaking of that, I just bought a shelf trophy, and I did not tell you about this one.
Oh, secret shelf trophy.
Yes, secret shelf trophy. And I guess it kind of fits in because while I did like the books, I wasn't going to buy them as a shelf trophy, but I love the covers so much.
Is that Divine Rivals?
Yes, I bought the UK version of the Divine Rivals because I actually don't like the US version of the covers,
right, yeah.
which is why I was like, I'm never buying those. I don't enjoy them. I don't like them. But these covers, I'll put a picture in our Instagram, but I love these covers so much. They're so cute. And so when I saw that they were for sale on the like one of the UK sites, I was like, I have to order them because they're so pretty.
Yeah, they are much better.
Yes, I love them so much. So my answer is absolutely I buy books based on their covers.
Here is the proof.
Here's some proof. There's also like the ones that we bought when we were at the Columbus Book Festival were also ones like, even if they weren't like the best cover ever, just seeing them, I was like, oh, that's a fantasy book. I can already tell. And so then I was like, I want to buy this.
Right. Yeah.
So yeah, there was a couple of books there that I bought based on the cover. It's just if it's a good cover, man, I'm getting sucked in immediately.
Yeah, well, I feel like that's one of the reasons, like I like to go book shopping at, what is that, Books A Million, and I enjoy that because they do, not all of them, maybe most, half. I don't even know. I feel like in the fantasy young adult, like all that one, and definitely in that like whole book talk section that they have, everything is cover facing out.
Oh yes.
And I very much appreciate that.
I do too.
I very rarely will take the time to go through every single book that's on the shelf and pull it out and look at it and read the back cover. So, yeah.
It's gotta be the front. The cover has to be enticing.
Yeah, it's definitely the first step, you know, because I don't always, like when I see a book that, like, I will read it. I will read the back cover, the front flap or whatever.
Yeah.
And I'll even go as far as looking on like Goodreads to see what other people say. Yeah. So sometimes it's not like a slam dunk, but it is something that I will.
It's the first step consider. In. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Have you noticed it? This is a book cover thing, I guess, but I've noticed that sometimes it's not even the book art that people pay attention to. Have you started noticing that there are some books where the author's name is the biggest thing on there?
Yeah.
And I'm not going to name any names, Sarah J. Maas.
I was just going to say cough, SJM.
Yes. But yeah, like as soon as their books go like through the roof in like sales or whatever, now the books like, you're like, what?
Like, what title is that?
What is the title? I can't tell from here.
I feel like that's
an author's name.
Aren't all Stephen King books like that too? Where it's just like Stephen King, and then it at the bottom, real small.
Exactly. Yes.
Yep, that is true. It's once they get a little bit of notoriety, or now it's like once you get big on Book Talk, it's like, oh, everybody knows this name. Let's make this name very big and seeable from across the bookstore.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. Or I guess scrolling on Instagram or TikTok or whatever, if you're just scrolling through and all of a sudden you see SJM, you're like, oh, I'm in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It helps find an author that you like. So it's kind of like advertising, I guess.
Oh yeah, that's true.
So.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like everyone's got a little bit of that. Right? Maybe we should do a challenge one time to find like the worst cover, like the not worst because I guess it's subjective, right? But like the least enticing cover to you, and see if you like the book.
We can do that.
Okay, we'll have to
be down to try that.
Figure out something. Just even if it's like a decent cover, if there's just something about it that maybe is like cringy to you, or like you're just not super into, maybe we'll do a little challenge to see if we can find one.
That's fair.
And see if it actually ends up being good.
Yeah, I can fit that in.
All right, great.
With other books.
You're right. With all the other things. All right, well, I think that's everything. It's going to be a little bit of a shorter one this week. So go to our Instagram, Savor the Story Pod, and answer our question. I'll put something in the stories there. Maybe you can tell us if there's specific books that you've read before that you read specifically for the book cover, and whether you liked it or didn't like it. Or maybe, whatever. I'll answer us about that. And then go to our website, savorthestorypod.com, and fill out the little form there. You can send us an email about book recommendations, snack recommendations, topics that you want us to talk about on the podcast, random information for me, pictures of your dogs. I don't know. Send us everything. Yes. And then rate us on whatever platform you're listening in. Give us 5 stars. Give us a little comment.
Or else. Right.
It worked on you, so if we just do that to everyone else, it'll be great. So yes, that's it.
Yay,
the end.
The end. Get out of here. Goodbye.
Bye.
See you next week.